What's up everyone and welcome back to MMA Talk. Ciryl Gane has sent a strong and confident message to his upcoming opponent, Tom Aspinall, making it clear that he has made major strides in the area that many once considered his biggest weakness, his wrestling and grappling. In a recent interview, the French heavyweight emphasized that his training since the Jon Jones fight has been nothing short of transformative. Gane stated that he's been grinding insanely hard in the gym, determined to evolve into a complete fighter capable of competing at the highest level in every aspect of mixed martial arts. Reflecting on his loss to Jon Jones, Gane admitted that it was a humbling but invaluable learning experience. That defeat, he said, exposed the holes in his grappling game, holes he has since worked tirelessly to fill. That fight taught me a lot, Gane shared. It was a mistake that cost me, but I've learned from it. I've put in the work and I know what I'm capable of now. According to him, the lessons from that bout have reshaped his entire approach to training and preparation. The build-up to Gane's fight with Aspinall has captured the attention of the entire MMA community. Many analysts believe this matchup could showcase a fascinating contrast in styles, Gane's smooth technical striking against Aspinall's explosive speed and power. What makes the fight even more intriguing is the expectation that it could go beyond the early rounds, testing both men's endurance, adaptability, and composure. Gane expressed full confidence in his ability to fight at a high pace for all 5 rounds. I can fight like a dog in the first round, but I can also go the distance, he said. Whatever happens, I'll be present and ready for everything. People sometimes forget that I've proven I can maintain my rhythm and movement for 5 rounds. This fight will be no different. Tom Aspinall, on the other hand, has also acknowledged the challenge that lies ahead. He's praised Gane's technical skill, defensive sharpness, and fight IQ, noting that the Frenchman is one of the most intelligent strikers in the division. Aspinall has admitted that if the fight stretches into the later rounds, Gane's experience and composure could play a big role. However, Gane believes that fans and critics alike have been underestimating his grappling ability for too long. Addressing that perception directly, he said, "People like to say I'm not good on the ground, but that's not true. I've only lost once in my career, and it was against Jon Jones. I made a mistake in that fight, but normally, I don't make those kinds of mistakes. I was never afraid to go to the ground, I train hard, and I know what I can do there." Gane's most recent performance, a close decision win over Alexander Volkov, wasn't his most dominant outing, and many felt the Russian had done enough to win. But that hasn't shaken Gane's self-belief. He insists that every fight is part of his growth and evolution. With renewed confidence in his grappling and his already elite striking, Ciryl Gane seems determined to prove that he's more than just a technical kickboxer, he's a complete mixed martial artist ready to reclaim his spot at the top of the heavyweight division. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Michael Bisping believes that Alex Pereira could go down in history as the undisputed greatest mixed martial artist of all time if he manages to defeat the winner of the upcoming heavyweight clash between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. The former UFC middleweight champion shared his thoughts during a recent discussion with Paul Felder, emphasizing just how monumental Pereira's potential achievements already are, and how a third world title would completely end any debate about who the true GOAT of MMA is. Following Pereira's incredible victory over Magomed Ankalaev, where he reclaimed the light heavyweight title in dominant fashion, the MMA world began buzzing with speculation about his next move. Pereira, never one to shy away from bold statements, made it clear in his post-fight comments that he has no interest in facing the winner of Aspinall versus Gane. Instead, his eyes are fixed firmly on the biggest challenge imaginable, a heavyweight showdown with Jon Jones. His reasoning was simple yet powerful. Both he and Jones are already legends, and a loss for either wouldn't diminish their legacies. Bisping and Felder found that mindset fascinating but couldn't help imagining what would happen if Pereira did, in fact, change course and challenge the eventual heavyweight champion. If Pereira were to go up and fight at heavyweight, why not aim for a third belt? Bisping asked. No one in the history of this sport has ever accomplished that. If he were to win titles in 3 different weight classes, that's it, the conversation is over. He'd be the greatest fighter ever to compete in MMA. Felder wholeheartedly agreed, noting that such a feat would transcend divisions, opponents, and eras. It wouldn't matter who the heavyweight champion is, he said. Whether it's Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane, or anyone else, if Pereira can move up and win that third title, he becomes the biggest legend in this sport's history. The pair emphasized that Pereira's rapid rise through 2 divisions, from middleweight to light heavyweight, has already been record-breaking, and his knockout victories over elite fighters like Israel Adesanya and Yuri Prochazka have solidified his reputation as one of the most dangerous strikers ever. Bisping pointed out that Pereira's combination of size, power, and technical precision makes the idea of him competing at heavyweight not just possible, but incredibly compelling. The thought of Pereira taking on fighters like Aspinall or Gane, both of whom are known for their athleticism and speed, has the MMA world buzzing with excitement. Fans and analysts alike are debating whether Pereira's elite striking could translate successfully against much larger opponents. As their conversation wrapped up, Bisping and Felder agreed that if Pereira ever captured a third championship championship belt, becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold titles in 3 divisions. The debate over the greatest of all time would be finished once and for all. There would be no doubt left. This being concluded, it wouldn't matter who he beat to get there. The fact that he did it would make him the GOAT, the greatest fighter to ever step into an MMA cage. For now, the question remains, will Alex Pereira truly chase the 3rd belt? If he does, and if he wins, the MMA world may witness history being made and the official crowning of the sport's ultimate legend. Move on to another news. The middleweight division has been thrown into fresh controversy following serious allegations against Khamzat Chimaev. Veteran MMA coach Ray Longo, who trains top bantamweight contender Merab Dvalishvili, has openly accused Chimaev of using performance-enhancing drugs (PEDs) while working with his new strength and conditioning coach, Sam Calavita. The comments have ignited a heated debate across the MMA community, with many questioning whether Chimaev's recent physical transformation and dominant performances may be linked to something beyond natural improvement. The discussion began during a breakdown of the current middleweight title picture on a podcast featuring UFC commentator John Anik and Ray Longo. As the conversation turned toward Chimaev's dominance and conditioning, Longo made a pointed observation, highlighting that Chimaev has recently begun training under Sam Calavita, the same coach who worked with former bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw. Dillashaw, of course, was famously suspended after testing positive for EPO, erythropoietin, a banned endurance-enhancing substance, following his fight with Henry Cejudo. Longo didn't mince words, suggesting that the connection between Chimaev and Calavita was too suspicious to ignore. It's interesting, Longo remarked. Someone told me he's working with TJ Dillashaw's strength coach. What a gem that guy is. You'd think someone would have learned from Dillashaw's case, but apparently not. He went on to say that, if he were overseeing the situation, he'd insist Chimaev undergo triple testing before stepping into the octagon. The guy already looks huge, Longo continued. If they're going to jack him up on something, that's going to be a problem. John Anik, while not directly accusing Chimaev of anything, admitted that the discussion was an intriguing angle given how drastically the fighter's physique has changed over the past year. Recent photos of Chimaev have shown him looking more muscular and shredded than ever, sparking fan speculation online. Many have questioned whether his new look is the result of intense training or if there's something more controversial at play. Longo didn't hold back his skepticism. People think everyone's clean in this sport. They're misinformed, he said bluntly. Out of all the strength coaches out there, you choose the one with a proven record of working with someone who got busted for EPO? That's not a coincidence. It's the art of war, I guess, but that's a pretty interesting choice to make. Adding to the intrigue, some analysts have speculated that Chimaev's motivation to work with Calavita could be linked to his past health struggles. After battling a severe viral infection that temporarily derailed his career, Chimaev reportedly faced ongoing stamina issues. Now, with his cardio and physique looking better than ever, some are wondering if the change has come from legal improvements in training methods or something more questionable. Despite the growing speculation, Chimaev's camp has remained completely silent on the matter, offering no public response to Longo's accusations. Chimaev himself continues to train relentlessly and remains one of the most feared and dominant fighters in the division. Still, the controversy has cast a shadow over his recent success, raising questions about whether the UFC or USADA might increase scrutiny of his testing protocols moving forward. As it stands, these allegations remain unproven, but the story has clearly captured the MMA world's attention. Whether it's mere coincidence or something more, Ray Longo's comments have opened a new chapter in the ongoing conversation about PEDs, ethics, and fairness in mixed martial arts. Move on to another news. Yair Rodriguez, one of the UFC's most dynamic featherweights, has officially undergone surgery on his left hand to repair a lingering injury that has been troubling him for months. The operation, which took place on Tuesday, was deemed necessary after multiple medical consultations confirmed that the issue could no longer be managed through therapy or rest alone. According to reports, Rodriguez is expected to need between 2 and 4 months of recovery before he can return to full training. This timeline effectively rules out any possibility of a late 2025 comeback, meaning fans likely won't see him back in action until sometime next year. Shortly after the procedure, Rodriguez shared a heartfelt message and video on Instagram, giving fans a glimpse into his recovery process. With his hand wrapped in bandages and still groggy from anesthesia, the former interim featherweight champion expressed a mix of relief and disappointment. "I resisted the operation," Rodriguez admitted in his caption, "but the truth is it was no life to continue like this. All the doctors agreed that surgery was necessary, and although I wanted to wait for news and try to fight before the end of the year, it would have been in vain. I wouldn't have been able to complete a training camp. See you next year after we pass this stone on the way." In his short post-surgery video, Rodriguez appeared in good spirits despite the situation, joking with his followers about his condition. "What's up, guys? I just got this thing done," he said, lifting his bandaged hand slightly. "I'm still on the meds, so my body feels kind of fluffy and weird." The candid moment showcased the Mexican fighter's signature positivity and resilience, qualities that have defined his career both inside and outside the octagon. This surgery marks another chapter in what has been an injury-interrupted run for Rodriguez, who last competed in a high-stakes bout against Brian Ortega earlier this year. Although he remains one of the most creative strikers in the UFC, injuries have repeatedly slowed his momentum just as he begins to regain championship form. Rodriguez's unique fighting style, built around explosive kicks, spinning attacks, and high-volume movement, places tremendous stress on his hands and wrists, making hand injuries particularly disruptive to his career. Despite the setback, Rodriguez's recovery timeline suggests that he could return to the cage as early as spring 2026, depending on how well rehabilitation progresses. His camp has stated that the focus right now is ensuring a complete recovery rather than rushing back too soon. The UFC community has rallied behind Rodriguez, with fans and fellow fighters sending messages of support across social media. Many expressed admiration for his willingness to push through pain for so long, while others encouraged him to prioritize health over haste. Rodriguez's decision to finally undergo surgery could prove pivotal in extending his career and preserving his trademark explosiveness. Once fully recovered, El Pantera will look to climb back into title contention in the featherweight division, a landscape that continues to evolve rapidly with contenders like Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway, and Alexander Volkanovski remaining active at the top. For now, Rodriguez's focus is on healing and rebuilding. Though he may be sidelined, his message was clear: this setback is just another obstacle on the road to greatness, and fans can expect to see him return stronger, sharper, and more determined than ever in 2026. Move on to another news. Bo Nickel has weighed in on Reinier de Ridder's recent loss to Brendan Allen at UFC Vancouver, offering an insightful perspective on what may have contributed to the Dutch fighter's lackluster performance. Speaking on the Ariel Helwani show, a highly regarded wrestling standout shared his thoughts on de Ridder's conditioning and preparation, emphasizing that one-off night doesn't define a fighter's overall skill or potential. Nickel began by acknowledging that de Ridder looked impressive early in the fight, displaying the kind of composure and technical skill expected from a world-class competitor. For the first 7.5 minutes, he looked amazing, Nickel said. He was sharp, composed, and looked like a top-level, world championship caliber fighter. However, Nickel observed a noticeable decline as the fight went on. After that first 7 or 8 minutes, things started to go downhill a bit. His conditioning clearly became an issue. According to Nickel, there might have been underlying factors that contributed to de Ridder's dip in performance. I had heard a few things before the fight, he revealed. There were talks about a tough weight cut, maybe even some illness or fatigue leading up to the event. Those things can make a huge difference once you're in the cage. Weight cutting, in particular, has long been a controversial topic in MMA, with many fighters struggling to balance performance and safety when cutting large amounts of weight. Nickel was careful to defend de Ridder's reputation, noting that one bad performance shouldn't overshadow his accomplishments or skill set. One fight doesn't define you as a fighter, he said. We've all seen top-level athletes have off nights. Sometimes it's the body, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's just bad timing. I'm sure he's disappointed, but that doesn't change who he is as a competitor. De Ridder, known for his dominant grappling and submission-heavy style, entered the fight with significant momentum. However, against Brendan Allen, he struggled to maintain his usual pace after a strong opening round and a half. As fatigue set in, Allen capitalized on the opportunity, turning the fight in his favor with cleaner striking exchanges and better endurance down the stretch. Nickel pointed out that the sport's grueling nature makes it nearly impossible for any fighter to stay at their peak in every outing. This is the fight game, he explained. It's unpredictable. You can have the best training camp of your life and still come in on fight night and not feel 100%. Or sometimes you're dealing with things behind the scenes, injuries, exhaustion, even personal stuff that fans never see. All of that can affect how you perform. He also mentioned the toll that frequent competition can take on a fighter's body. He's fought a lot over the past year, and those back-to-back training camps wear you down. The more active you are, the harder it becomes to fully recover between fights. Despite the setback, Nickel believes de Ridder will bounce back stronger. He's still a world-class athlete with elite skills, Nickel said confidently. Every fighter goes through tough moments. What separates the great ones is how they respond afterward. I'm sure he'll learn from this and come back even better. In the end, Nickel's assessment was both fair and respectful, recognizing de Ridder's shortcomings in Vancouver while reminding fans that every athlete faces adversity. In a sport as demanding as mixed martial arts, one-off night doesn't erase a fighter's talent or potential, it simply becomes part of their evolution.